Postmortem. Well, there you have it. That was our playthrough of Endangered, a game about trying to save animals from succumbing to environmental impacts, or really environmental impacts caused by human actions, like deforestation, government upheaval, and those types of things. We lost because we sadly allowed our tiger population to drop to just one tiger, and of course that's not enough to be able to rebuild the habitat. So that population of tigers was basically deforested into extinction, and we didn't make it past year 4 of our game. So you can really see the impact that the impacts cards can have, the persistent impacts when they stack, and then when those tiger sighting cards come out, and they just trigger those persistent impacts that trigger one after the other from oldest to newest. And those were the things that really did us in. In year 3, we lost 4 tigers, and in year 4, we lost all but 1. And we started the game with 8. We got up to maybe 10 or 11 tigers at its height, and then we lost them all. So this is actually a much worse showing than the first time I played this game, where I was able to make it all the way to year 8, and that was when my population was reduced to just 1 tiger, and I lost the game. Yeah, so this second time around didn't go as well. What are my impressions of this game? The first time I played it, I wasn't all that thrilled with it. I felt that it was kind of a little bit too straightforward, and there weren't a lot of interesting choices to make as you progress with the game. But the funny thing was, when I went to work the next day, and as I talked about it with some friends at work, I realized that I was more and more fascinated with the theme of the game, with how straightforward it is, with how I really like games that have a very kind of specific and structured turn sequence, and this certainly has that. I like games with very clearly written and easy to follow rules, and this certainly has that. I like games where there are, interesting things to do, in a turn, and this, I believe, this game certainly has that. There's a few things that I don't like randomness, right? So of course you're rolling dice, and this is most pronounced in the mating phase, or the offspring phase, where based on a bad die roll, you could either add or not have, add a new tiger to your habitat or not, and there's really no way to mitigate that die roll. It's just a vanilla die roll, as it were. And then the phase right after that, which is the destruction phase, same thing. There's really no way to mitigate as you're rolling the die. There are actions that you can take if within your player cards, but you have to wait for those cards to kind of come out. So you're still at the mercy of randomness in terms of the order in which those cards come out of your deck. So I feel that this game could have used a little bit more efforts at randomness mitigation. That's really a relatively minor complaint. So overall, I like the game. I think that it's very mechanically solid. It's well made. I think that the theme is very important. It really effectively pushes the theme across. If you want to teach players, especially like younger players, a lesson about how, if we don't take active steps to protect animals and to protect them from environmental impacts, their populations can quickly get wiped out. This game really drives that home, and I think you really saw that in this playthrough. So definitely, you feel the theme. It pushes the theme, in my opinion. It's mechanically solid, like I said, and I think it doesn't last too long. It will last for a certain number of turns, years, depending on the number of players. And I like cooperative games, so I like the fact that it's cooperative. So for all these reasons, the other thing is that in terms of replayability, that's a good point to to bring up. There is replayability in terms of the ambassador cards. So you're not going to see all the ambassador cards in each game, which means that every time you start a new game, you could potentially have a whole new set. Well, not a whole new set, but different set of ambassador cards. So which changes your kind of like end game conditions. There's also replayability in terms of trying to play different roles. So in my first game, I played the TV wildlife host and the lobbyist. In this second game, I played the philanthropist and the zoologist. And you could mix and match those different roles, or you could choose to play 3 or 4 roles as a solo player, which I am. Either way. So there's also a little replayability there, and each role has 2 different special actions. You saw me choose them at the start, but I could easily have gone with the other choices, and that could have changed, how the game played out. So I think there's good replayability here. As on top of all the other positives I said about this game, and the fact that when it hits Kickstarter in April, the full version is going to have at least one more animal module aside from the tiger module. The sea otter module has been promised, has been announced by Grand Gamers Guild, and it will also have one more role. So for a total of 5 roles, so it'll support 2 to 5 players, really 1 to 5 players, because co-op games are soloable, obviously. So overall, I like it. After 2 plays, this game, I'm going to up my initial rating for it was 7 out of 10. I'm going to up it to a 7.5 out of 10. I'm starting to really feel the theme coming through. And after 2 plays, I still feel motivated to play again because I haven't won. So who knows? Maybe tomorrow night we'll actually put this on the table and play it again, which would almost be unheard of for me because I'm a one and done player in terms of games because there's so many, right? So those are my impressions of the game. Once again, the game is Endangered, designed by Joe Hopkins. The publisher is Grand Gamers Guild, and watch out for this game when it hits Kickstarter April 2nd, 2019. Until then, for PnP Playthrough, this has been Martin, and I'm signing off for now.